welcome to the video training for Outlook Web Access. My name is Mary Gorman, and I am an adjunct faculty member here at Palm Beach Community College. Later on you will meet Mike Stone, also an adjunct at PBCC. We are here to teach you about the new features of Outlook Web Access, or simply OWA. IT is upgrading OWA to the latest version. What that means to you is that you will have the same capabilities as the old version, but you have more capabilities, making the program more effective and efficient. To begin, you still need to log on to OWA. However, the logon process is a little bit different than what you did before. When you open up the link to log on to your email, you will still see the username and password dialog box. However, now you must fully qualify your username. What I mean by that is you will first type your username and follow it by the @ symbol and then pbcc.edu. And then you'll enter your password as you always did. And depending upon the speed of your internet connection, once you click OK, the new Outlook Web Access will load. And immediately you'll probably notice how much nicer it is and how many more features you have than the old version. You'll see here over on the left you have two choices. You have a folder list, which lists all of the folders you have available in OWA, and towards the bottom you have a shortcut list, which also lists many of the popular folders, as well as some options and rules, which Mike will explain to you later. Now you can cut down that shortcut list by clicking on this arrow or enlarge it. I tend to like to have it lowered because it's kind of redundant to what you already have here in your folder list. Now on your folder list you'll see many different options, and to navigate between these different folders you just simply need to click on them. And the first option you have is your calendar folder. Your calendar allows you to keep track of your events, appointments, and meetings. You also have a contacts folder, which allows you to have a personal address book stored within OWA. You have your deleted items folder, as you did before, for your trash. You have a drafts folder, which holds messages that you have not yet sent. You have your inbox for your email. You also have a journal, which allows you to track your work activities and time associated with those activities. You have your junk email folder. This is where emails will go that you have listed as junk email, so you don't have to see them come into your inbox anymore. You have an area here for notes. Notes are like glorified sticky notes, so you can create electronic post-it notes in this area. You have the out box. This is where a message goes for about a millisecond after you click send, and then once it leaves your out box, it gets moved into your sent items folder. As well, then you have tasks, which allow you to create your own to-do list. Now Mike and I will be taking you through many of these different folders and the functionality shortly. Now you'll notice as you click through every different folder, you always have a toolbar across the top, and the toolbar does change depending upon what folder you're in. Those of you that are familiar with the full version of Microsoft Outlook will recognize many of the tools available on the toolbar. But for example, when you're located within your inbox, your toolbar has the new button, you have your reply, reply to all, and forward, versus when you're in your calendar, you still have the new button, but this time it's for a new appointment, and then you have different buttons for changing your view in your calendar, such as a week view, a month view, and then you have the one-day view. Now at this time, Mike Stone is going to come up to show you how to use your inbox.
Hi, I'm Mike Stone. The primary function of Outlook Web Access is messaging. You can view message headers and read messages, as well as send, reply to, forward, and delete messages. Let's take a look at how. When you first open up the inbox folder, you'll see a list of message headers and a preview pane on the right-hand side, which is new. If you're familiar with the old version of Outlook Web Access, the preview pane would appear something like this. It's also possible to turn it off completely and see more message header information, like that. To To send a new email message, you come up top, click on the New button, and type in part of the name that you're looking for example. And you can click the Check Names icon on the toolbar to look up the partial name, and we found one that matches. You can also CC someone, and another way to put a name in is to click on the button and search using the global address list. For example, click the Find button and search through this short list and select the one you're looking for. Address it and close the list. Type your message. You can format the message using any of these tools on the formatting toolbar. You can also come up top and optionally spell check, and you can attach a signature as well, but I'm going to show you how to do those a little bit later. Finally, you may want to attach a file to the document. You can do that by either clicking up here on the paperclip icon or clicking the Attachments button down here. The 3 steps are to first locate the file that you want to attach, actually attach it by clicking here, and then close the Attachments dialog box. You can see that the document will be attached in this area. You may also wish to go into this Options area where you can set the importance to normal or high, or something less frequently done to low importance. You can also modify the sensitivity and request receipts as well. Then you're ready to send the message. To open a message that you've received, all you need to do is double-click it here in this list. And if there's an attachment, click once on the attachment, and you have an option of opening it if you know who it's from and what it contains, or you can save it for later use and possibly run an antivirus check on it on the desktop. Also, if you're working on an email message and it's taking some time to complete, you can save it and finish it later without it being sent by clicking on the Save icon up here. That will save the document into the Drafts folder so that later you can double-click and open it, finish your message, and send it off at that point. While you're working, you can check periodically for new messages by clicking here. And there is a feature with this email where you can organize your messages as well. You can sort them. For example, let's take a look at a list of messages in the sent items. By default, they're showing in the 2-line view. You can sort by sender, by subject, by conversation thread. Another way to organize the messages is to create folders. Just click in the folder list, then right-click and select New Folder. Give it a name. And it appears in the list with the other folders. You can then take emails from your inbox or your sent items and drag them over and save them in the important folder. Like that. You may wish to take a range of emails. Click one, press the Shift key, click another, and you can drag several of them into the important folder. Or you may wish to use a control click and select various messages throughout the list and bring them over across at once. You can also use this technique to delete messages. One other thing you can do is over here on the right side of the list of message headers is a flag field. You can right-click on the flag and assign any of these color codes which will have meaning for you, and you can sort by those. Finally, you can search for messages. For example, by subject. You can also search by sender and receiver. Finally, as you move around and you add and remove messages, to refresh the screen, you can click on the Refresh Folders list. And now, back to Mary.
In this section, we're going to take a look at the calendar. The calendar is actually one of my favorite features. It helps me keep track of all my appointments, meetings, and all-day events. You can think of the calendar as an electronic version of your day planner. To get to the calendar, over on your folder list, you just simply need to click on the calendar folder. And when the calendar opens up, by default, you'll be on the current date. So you'll see here I'm on Friday, June 4th, and you're currently in the one-day view. Now across the top of the calendar, you have these different buttons to change your view. So I have the 7-day for a week view. I also have here the 31 for the monthly view. However, I'm going to return back to the daily view. Now over on the right-hand side of your daily view, you'll see that you have this small mini calendar, and this mini calendar allows you to jump to different days in your daily calendar. So for example, if I wanted to create an appointment for myself on Monday, June 14th, in the mini calendar, I just click on June 14th, and it doesn't seem like much has changed because I currently don't have any appointments on this date, but you'll see here across the top that you're now looking at Monday, June 14th. Now the first thing we're going to do is create a new appointment on your calendar. And in order to create a new appointment, you simply just have to click the New button here in the toolbar. So when I click on New, the New Appointment dialog box opens up. And in this dialog box, the first line that you have is your subject line. So let's say that I had to go to the dentist on this date. So I'm going to type in there, dentist appointment. And you can also enter the location of this appointment. You'll notice in this dialog box you also have the options for attachments. So if there is any other document or detail you wanted to attach to this appointment, you could click the Attachments button, and this is the same dialog box that Mike took you through earlier dealing with email. Down here you can set the start time and the end time for your appointment. Because I started on the 14th, the dates are already correct. So I'm just going to come over here to the start time, and let's say my appointment is at 10 a.m. So I will drop down and select 10 a.m. And then I could set the end time of my appointment. Notice these are done in half-hour increments. So for some reason, if you expected your appointment to end at 11:15, you could type that in there manually. However, in this case, let's say I expect to leave there at 11:30. Now the next option you have is to set a reminder for yourself. So if you are logged on to OWA, a reminder dialog box will come up prior to your appointment, alerting you that you have this coming up in your day. And you can set how much prior, from 0 minutes, so at the time of the appointment the reminder will appear, I never understand why you'd want that option, up to 2 days in advance. So let's say I'd like this to appear a half hour before my appointment. Now the next drop down you have is how you want to show your time. Are you busy, meaning you would be here at the college, but busy doing another event? Are you free? Are you tentative, you're not sure if you are attending this appointment? Or will you be out of the office? In this case, I would be out of the office. And now down here in this area, I have a lot of room to type any other details I would like about this appointment. When I am finished, you have to remember to click Save and Close. A lot of people make the mistake of just clicking the X up in the corner, but you have to first save it and then it will close automatically. And you will see your new appointment on your calendar. Now let's say you had to edit that appointment. The time has changed to 9 a.m. In order to edit an appointment on your calendar, you simply just have to double-click on it. You should recognize this dialog box from a few minutes ago. So all I'm going to do is adjust my start time to 9 a.m. and then I will click Save and Close, and you'll see now my appointment has been changed on my calendar. Now let's say that every Friday I have an appointment. So I'm going to move to Friday, June 18th. And this appointment runs for the next 5 Fridays. I'm going to start my new appointment again by clicking on the New button. And let's say that every Friday I'm teaching a PowerPoint class from 9 to noon. So I'm going to type in the subject, PowerPoint, and the location, I'll put here PBCC, Lake Worth campus. Now I don't want to have to repeat myself for the next 4 Fridays, so in order to make this appointment recur, up here in the toolbar you'll see you have the Recurrence button, and when I click on Recurrence, you then set the pattern of this recurrence. So let's imagine this class starts at 8 a.m., so I will set my start time in this dialog box, and is expected to end at noon, so I will drop down on the ends time and select noon. And now I set the pattern for recurrence. Is this a daily appointment, weekly, monthly, or yearly? Well, in this case it's weekly, and it's going to occur every week on Friday, and it will start on 6/18, and then I can choose, should this go on forever? Does it end after so many occurrences, or will it end by a particular date? Well, in this case, I said this was going to end after 5 occurrences, so I'm going to select End After and edit the 10 to a 5, and then click OK. And now when I save and close my appointment, it is here on June 18th. And now if I click to the month view so you can really see the recurrence, you'll see the 18th, the 25th, the 2nd, the 9th, and then as well it should also be on the 16th. So that's the fast way to make an appointment repeat on your calendar rather than doing them one at a time. Now the other thing that you can do with the new version of OWA is create meetings. This is where you're going to invite other people to meet with you and possibly schedule a conference room. So let's say I wanted to have a meeting on June 21st with Mike. So I'm going to click to June 21st, and I'm actually going to start the new appointment dialog box just as I've done the past 2 times. However, the difference is this time, across the top, I'm going to click the button to invite attendees. And when I do that, you'll notice the dialog box will change. You now have a required, an optional, and a resources line. So I'm going to make it so that Mike is required to attend this meeting. So I'm going to type in his last name, Stone, and as he showed you earlier, just like with email, you have the Check Names button here in this dialog box. So when I click Check Names, it resolves to these 3 stones here at PBCC, and I'm going to select Mike's name and then click OK. Now you'll notice you also have an availability tab. If I click over to that tab, what this shows me is whether or not Mike is busy on this date. And lo and behold, you'll see my schedule. I am free, going across from my name. But then if I look here at Mike, Mike is scheduled out the entire day from 9 to 4. And how do I know that he is busy is down here at the bottom you see you have a legend. So you have this aqua color for tentative, blue for busy, purple you're out of the office, and these slashes means there is no information. So at this point I realize this meeting on the 21st is not going to be successful. So what I can do down at the bottom is change my start date. So I'm going to drop down and select the 22nd. And on the 22nd, again, Mike is busy, but I notice he does have some free time here from noon till 6. So therefore, down at the bottom again, I'm going to change the times. So let's say we want to meet at 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock. So I'll change the end time. And then I can see clearly right here, both of us are free, so this meeting time should be successful. So I'm going to click back over to the Appointment tab to finish this appointment. Now if I had any attendees that were optional, I could include them here. This Resources line is for when you need to actually book a conference room. Mike and I don't need to use a conference room for our meeting. So instead, I'm just going to enter the location as my office. And then the subject of our meeting, let's say we're going to have a meeting about an OWA wrap-up meeting. Your start time and your end time are already completed. Again, you have the area to set a reminder for this meeting for yourself. My time is busy. I will be here on campus, but busy at that time. I could add any other detail about this meeting that I like in this area. And also, you have the Attachments button up here at the top or in the middle. So if I wanted to attach, for example, a meeting agenda, I could. Once I'm finished with this meeting, notice now you have the Send button. When I click Send, it's actually going to send an invitation to Mike, which he will then be able to accept or decline. So once I clicked Send, and I go to the 22nd, you'll see the meeting has been placed on my calendar, and in Mike's inbox, he now has the meeting request. So I'm just going to move over to his inbox. And if I click here on Mike's inbox, you'll see here's the message from me. So, Mary Gorman, OWA wrap-up meeting. And if he were to open this by double-clicking on it, across the top, he has the buttons, accept the meeting, be tentative to the meeting, decline it, or he also has an option to look at his calendar. So if he wasn't sure what he was doing on that date, he could click the calendar button, and it will default to his calendar on that date, so then he could look and see whether or not he was free. So if he decided he wanted to attend the meeting, he would just click Accept, and then he could type in any information back to me and then send me a response. So now when I return back to my inbox, I have a response from Mike indicating that he has accepted the OWA wrap-up meeting. Now if I go back to my calendar once again, something else you can do here is create all-day events. So if you know you will be out of the office all day, rather than setting the start and the end times, I can go to the 28th, for example, and let's say I'm going to take personal leave on that date, and start a new appointment again. And you'll see you have a checkbox here for all day event, so it will just immediately block your entire day. So I could type in the subject as leave time. I'm not giving anybody a location. I don't want to know where I'm going. So I click Save and Close, and you'll see the event is at the top of your calendar and your entire day is blocked. These events are also helpful, if I click New again, for setting reminders for yourself. So I could type in here that maybe it's somebody's birthday, maybe it's my father's birthday. And when I want to use it in this case, excuse my typing, when I want to use it in this case, I just make sure my time remains as free, and then at the top of my calendar, I will have this reminder letting me know that it's his birthday. Now, the final thing that you can do with your calendar, for those of you that still like to have a hard copy, a piece of paper in front of you letting you know what you have to do on your day, is in the standard toolbar here, you have the print button, and when you click print, it will print your current view. So if you're in the 1-day view, it will just print that day, whereas if you're in the 7-day view, it will print your entire week, versus the month view, it will print your entire month. And now at this point, we're going to go back to Mike, and he's going to talk to you about the options and rules that you have available in OWA.
Now we're going to look at two things, options and rules. Rules are one of the best tools you have for organizing your information. You can apply rules to selectively process messages, moving, deleting, copying, and performing other actions on the messages based on the sender, the recipient, the subject, or other message properties. You can use the OWA options page to set many other options. Let's take a look at the rules. Click New to create the first rule. You can base your email message rules on different fields, for example, who has sent it, what the subject contains, and so on. So let's create a rule for where the field of who sent it contains, and we'll pick a name from this list. And apply that. And we will say that based on email coming from this individual, we'll move it to a specified folder. And save the rule. We can also give it a name. And you can also create a rule based on the subject, for example. Maybe we want to forward any messages that contain this in the subject line to someone else. And we'll save that rule. As a result, these messages will automatically be organized for you. Now, under the Options shortcut, there are some more things you can configure. For example, when you're out of the office, you can have an auto response come out so that if someone attempts to email you, they realize that you're not going to be responding for a period of time. When you return to the office, you just turn the office assistant off. Over here, under Messaging Options, you can select how many items you want to display per page. And I have that set for 25, so that if I page through my inbox, I'll see 25 messages at a time. This next item is what to do after you've deleted a message. And these are the three options. You can automatically continue on to the next message or back to the previous. I prefer to return to the original view so that I can choose which message to view next. Another nice feature is that you can be notified when messages arrive in your inbox with both a pop-up window that will appear down at the bottom of the screen, and also a tone that will sound when the email arrives. Next, you can configure a signature to appear whenever you create a new email message. Earlier I indicated that you can assign a signature when you're creating the email, or you can build a general signature here in the options, so every time you create an email it's automatically provided for you. In the reading pane, which we looked at earlier, you saw that you can scroll through the different messages. Sometimes you want to mark them as read only after you've come off the message. Other times you want to mark them read after you've just viewed them for a short while. Now here are the spelling options. I recommend spell checking before sending off your emails and keep this box checked. You may also wish to modify some of the criteria for spell check as well. Next are your security and privacy options. And something new, an appearance option. You can change the overall color scheme, and this can be useful if you're working with Outlook at home and you have one color scheme there. You can modify the OWA scheme so that you can tell at a glance which email you're viewing. Next you have the date and time formats. Maybe you prefer military time, you can assign that here. Your calendar options. And reminders. If you want to receive reminders for your calendar and task items, which we'll look at in a little while, make sure to check them. Now in the contact options area, you can select to look up names from the global address list, which we did earlier, or to have them come from the local contacts. If you're using a dial-up connection, you may wish to have your local contacts searched first because it might be quicker. Down here is the change password box. It just takes a minute to come up, but you can access it quite easily from the options, change password button, and you don't have to search around too far to find where you need to go to modify your password. And finally, you can recover a deleted item. After you delete your items and they go to the deleted items folder, when you delete them from here, you still have one more chance to recover those. You can try to recover them from here if you catch them quickly enough. And that's it for your options. I'd like to turn it back over to Mary at this time. Thank you.
In this section, we will explore the Contacts folder. The Contacts folder is used to maintain a personal address book. This address book contains entries for people that you email frequently outside of PBCC. It also can contain entries for groups of people that you email frequently. To get to your Contacts folder, on the left in your folders list, you just simply need to click on Contacts. And you'll see I currently have 3 contacts. These are people outside of Palm Beach Community College. Because PBCC provides for me a global address list of all employees within the college. Therefore, I just use this for other people outside. Now, in order to create a new contact for yourself, all you need to do is simply click the New button at the top, and the New Contact dialog box opens up. You'll see there are a lot of fields for entering information about a contact. You have this General tab for the basic fields, and then you also have at the top here a Details tab, which allows you to enter in even more information about a contact. I generally don't use the Details tab very often, so I'm going to return back to the General tab, and I'm going to set up a contact. And you don't have to fill in all of these fields. I normally don't. I'm going to start here with the last name, and then I would just tab down to continue through the fields to enter in the first name. And I could skip over maybe job title and company. And you'll notice that some of these fields have drop-downs associated with us. because many of us may have more than one option. For example, if I look over here to the right on email, I myself certainly have more than one email address. So what you can do is store more than one. So you can enter in the first email address, and then you could drop down and select to enter in a second email address. And it does store both, even though the first one did disappear. You can then enter in the second one. And you'll notice if I return just by dropping down to the first email, there it is, and then you have email 2. So you also have this option for phone numbers. You'll see if you drop down, you have a lot of different phone numbers you can store for people, as well as for addresses. Once you are finished entering in all this information about your contact, you just simply click Save and Close, and you'll see your contacts are listed in alphabetical order by last name. Now you can change the view of your contacts folder. Up here at the top it reads Address Cards. If you click, you can drop down and choose Detailed Address Cards again instead. So you'll see I have a lot more detail displaying about each contact. Or maybe I can organize just a phone list, or I could display my contacts by company. So if I choose by company, for example, you'll see that it breaks them up by company. So here's the sheriff's office, and then I could click the plus sign next to that to show all contacts associated with that company. I simply prefer to have the address cards displayed, so I'm going to return to that view. Now you can edit a current contact in case some of their information changes. For example, let's say Rosa has a new phone number, so I'll double click on her contact card, and I can go in and change her home phone number here. Maybe instead of 6, it's now 7, and simply edit it, and then click Save and Close to retain the changes to that contact. Now if I wanted to email any of these contacts, I could do that from my inbox and address it as Mike showed you earlier, or you could open up one of your contact cards by double-clicking on it, and on the toolbar of the contact card, here at the top, you have a button to Send Mail to Contact, which when I click that, it will open up a new email message, and you'll see her address is here in the to line automatically. Now the other thing that you can do with your contacts are create distribution lists. These are handy for maybe project teams, or for your department, or for just a group of friends that you email frequently. And rather than having to address the email to each individual person, you could just address it to the group as a whole. Now to create a distribution list, you have to drop down on the New button, so you'll see there's an arrow next to it, and when you drop down, you'll have the option for a new distribution list. So when I click on this option, the distribution list dialog box opens up, and the first thing you need to do is assign this list a name. So I'm just going to call it Department. And now you need to actually select members of this distribution list. So over here on the right, you'll see you have the Find Names dialog box. And when I click on that, now I can start to enter in names to locate. So I type in the first name and click Find, and I find here Tish Saylor, so I can select her name, and then down towards the bottom you can then click Add Recipient to Distribution List. And you'll see this dialog box remains open, so you can continue to add others to this distribution list. So this time I typed in Barrett, and then I see Sandy Barrett, so I would add her. And I'll add one more name to this list, so I will type in and select Lynn Flanagan and add her finally. So when you are finished adding all the members of your list, and you can have quite a few members here, you would just close this dialog box, And finally, click Save and Close in the corner. And you'll see your new distribution list here in your contacts area. And let's say that I needed to now edit my distribution list. I could double-click on it. And let's say a new member has been added to the department. So I would walk through the same steps to add that new member, where over on the right I would click Find Names, and I would type in the person's name. So here I found Amy Suarez, so I could select her name and click Add to Distribution List, and then Close. And also, maybe if somebody has left the department, I could select their name. So let's say that Sandy transferred to another area. I could select her name and actually remove her from this list. And it asks, are you sure you want to remove? Which, yes, I am. I would click OK. And now save and close my updated distribution list. And then if I wanted to send an email to all the members of that list, rather than having to address it to each person individually, I could just open up my list, and just like with the contacts, here at the top you have the button to send mail to the list. So when I click that, you'll notice that your email is addressed to the name of the list, and then you would continue addressing your message, and when you click send, it would actually send an individual email to those members. Now at this point, Mike is going to return and finish up with the tasks and then the closing to OWA.
Another feature new to this release of Outlook Web Access is the ability to work with tasks. Your job tasks might include completing contracts, making calls, writing or reviewing documents, grading homework assignments, or developing web pages. Some of these may take hours, some days, and some weeks or months to complete. Outlook Web Access provides a means to track and manage these tasks. Your task list includes the subject and an optional due date for the task. You can also open the task to view details and add additional information. A start date, a status, % complete. There's additional details that you might wish to fill in for your tasks. And something particularly useful, this recurrence option here, which works just like a meeting would. Pick your daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly recurrence pattern, and each time you complete a task, another identical task will open up with the new date. Well, that's about it for tasks. They're quite simple to use. When you're through with Outlook Web Access, just click here to log off. We hope you agree that Outlook Web Access is a powerful and simple to use tool. If you have any further questions, please contact our help desk. Thank you for your time.